The old mule was dead, and its neck was broken. Today's encounter is called Night of Terror. This comes to us from Mississippi, circa 1986. The woman who told this story to me said that she heard it from a close friend as they were sitting around a bonfire. Everybody was sitting around the bonfire, they were sharing hunting stories, and everybody kept urging Jeff to tell his from his hunting camp. Now, Jeff's dad was part of a hunting camp on a private island in the middle of the Mississippi River. So one long weekend, Jeff, his cousin, and his friend decided that they were going to go out there with Jeff's dad and hunt for the weekend. Jeff's dad was going to join them whenever he got off work. It was supposed to rain, and there was supposed to be a cold front that weekend, which made for excellent hunting, but really bad boating. So Jeff's dad told them that if it was raining, he was going to stay in his truck overnight, and he would join them the next morning by taking the other boat across. So the boys got out of school. They got to the landing and loaded their gear into the boat, and they went across the river to the hunting camp. They got set up and they hunted until dusk. They decided to go back to the cabin. They played cards and ate some dinner, and then they decided they were going to go ahead and turn in early so they could get up the next morning and go ahead and start hunting. Now, this cabin was a simple one-room cabin. There was a sitting area, there were a couple bunk beds, a kitchenette, and a bathroom. Not very big. So the action started sometime after everybody fell asleep. Something slapped the side of the cabin. Jeff woke up when this happened, but the others stayed asleep. He laid there listening, and he thought he could hear something walking around. He tried to go back to sleep, and then something slapped the cabin again, this time right beside his head. He was definitely wide awake now. He laid there listening, and he could definitely hear something walking around now. And what's worse is he could hear something breathing, like a big animal breathing. He laid there scared. And when he tried to explain it away, his cousin piped up and said, "Hey, did you hear that?" Which made it a little bit harder to explain away at that point. He says he remembered it being bipedal. The woman that told me that said that she remembers him saying bipedal because she remembers thinking, "I don't know what that is. I don't understand what the big deal is." In which he told her that means walking like a man on two legs. There weren't supposed to be any other people out there. So they definitely thought that it was perhaps a trespasser, or perhaps Jeff's dad just having a little bit of fun with them. But they were definitely scared as they listened to it walking around the cabin. One of them wanted to reach for the rifle, but they were just too scared to move. Then all of a sudden, a strong gust of wind blew the front door wide open. At this point, they knew that they had to move because when they looked through the doorway, they didn't see anybody standing there. All they saw was condensation, like from breath coming from the top of the door frame down. Now, Jeff says that whatever it was standing there had to be at least 7 foot tall, as the condensation was coming from above the door frame. When the wind blew the door open, they both jumped into action after seeing the breath. Jeff ran and locked the door, and his cousin ran and grabbed his rifle. They woke up the friend, and they all scrambled to get their clothes on and come up with a plan to get to the boat. Now, the rain had caused fog to roll in off the river, so between the rain and the fog, they didn't see much as they ran towards the boat, but they did hear something big crashing through the brush behind them, chasing them as they went to the boat. Jeff said he thinks he remembers somebody firing a warning shot as they were trying to get the boat started. They pushed the boat out into the water, and they were about halfway across the river when they heard something big jump into the river right behind them. They turned around, but they couldn't see anything. They made it to the landing across the river, and they woke up Jeff's dad, and they told him everything that had happened. The next morning, they got the game warden out there. They went across the river, and they went to go look for some evidence of whatever had happened around the cabin. They didn't find any evidence anywhere around the cabin. However, there was an old mule that lived out there that just stayed out there. The old mule was dead and its neck was broken. And that's the only evidence they found of anything weird going on out there. If you have an encounter that you would like to hear on Nite Terrors, go ahead and click that link in the description, and you can send it to me via any of my social media links, or you can email it to me. Thank you everyone for listening. Be safe and have a great week. Thank you for listening to Nite Terrors. If you enjoyed this episode, hit that like button and drop a comment below. And don't forget to click the link in the description to send in your encounter story to be featured on an episode of Nite Terrors. Also, you can see what else is going on in the Night Callers world. Thank you, everybody.